What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jaleesa if you are new here, and I am back with another cocktails and combos video. Today I'll be recapping episode 12 of the Real Housewives of Potomac. For this video, since we are in January, I am going to be making a mojito, a mocktail. So there will be no alcohol in this cocktail, but as always, I'll be linking the recipes and the description of the cocktail and the ingredients that you'll need below. If you want to add alcohol, I'll make sure I call out the preferred alcohol for this cocktail. Now let's go ahead and jump into this previous episode. So episode 12 of the Real Housewives of Potomac started off with Karen touring the DC Improv to set up and get some, ideas, get the ball rolling on her live show. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, when I was watching this, I was just like, what is this show about? I was just like all the other ladies on the show. I was just kind of confused at what she was trying to get from this show. I know Karen has a lot of businesses that she has with her. I think she's got a wig line. That was something one of the seasons. Last season, it was the competition of the candles between her and Wendy. So it just seemed kind of weird that she was doing this live show. But nonetheless, she was touring the DC Improv. And I forgot to mention this in my last video, but shout out to the return of Matt, her trusty assistant. As the episode kept going on and we started seeing her and her element for the live showing, the only thing I can make sense of why she was doing this was just like a meet and greet with her fans. That was the only thing that made sense to me, y'all. But comment below if y'all took something else away from this live showing that she was doing. So after Karen went and toured the DC Improv, we've got a scene with Mia and Gordon, and Mia's just kind of letting Gordon know that the ladies were questioning Mia and Jacqueline's friendship, how close they were, and pretty much point of the story, questioning whether Jacqueline, Gordon, and Mia have all had some form of a throuple, threesome, something. Because in the last episode, we know that Mia has shared with the ladies that her and her friend have shared men before. Mia, I think her friend has let Mia sleep with her ex-boyfriend or vice versa. Mia's performed some gynecology operations on Jacqueline. They are really, really close, really, really close. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first started watching this scene, I was just like, I didn't get that sense that Gordon and Jacqueline had done anything in the bedroom at all. Like, I just didn't get that from the scene with the three of them. I felt like they were really close. Just like if you have a close best friend and you're dating someone, it's like, okay, occasionally you all will kick it and hang out with each other. You all become like this little triplet, trifecta group. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you all have slept together and had any rendezvous. That's kind of the sense that I got from all of them. But I will say, while watching this scene, it was kind of weird because I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, y'all, I believe that Mia and Gordon did kind of confirm that they did help Jacqueline get her Porsche some way, somehow. Whether they bought it for her in cash, whether they co-signed for her, I don't know. Like, they didn't straight up, at least from what I heard, they didn't straight up say, yeah, we bought the Porsche for you, put a red bow on it, boo, 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 boo. But it was implied, and I walked away from that conversation like they helped her in some way, which for me personally was slightly weird. Like, if I had the money like Mia and Gordon and my friend needed help getting a car, I don't necessarily think I wouldn't help my friend, but it's not like I would get my friend a Porsche. It's like, you're not gonna ride around in a Porsche. Like, Porsche and other luxury high-end cars, in my opinion, are reserved for, your wife, your husband, your lover, whatever. And your friend, you can get my Toyota Corolla that I'm driving in right now. You can get a used car, and that's no shade or anything. It's just a matter of like, if you are in a tough situation, if you're my friend, like, I'm not gonna like watch you struggling and be down and out, but I'm not going to get you a luxury car. Like, luxury, that's more reserved for, hey, you a little bit more than my friend. And hey, maybe that does lead into or feed into this narrative that maybe all three of them have been a little bit closer than friends and have been bed buddies. I don't know. I just know while they were talking with each other, I did not get the sense that they had had a threesome. But like I stated in my last episode, that whole friendship with Mia and Jacqueline is weird. Comment below y'all thoughts. If you could afford it and your friend needed help getting a car, would you all help them get a luxury car? Do you think it's not that deep? Like, that's her friend, she can afford it, why not put her friend, you know? Some people may feel that way. Some people feel like if I'm driving around in luxury, my friends and everybody around me need to be in luxury. I'm like you know, I can afford it, I can sustain luxury. You may not be able to, obviously you cannot, so therefore I'm not gonna put you in something that you cannot afford or sustain. But that's just me. Comment below your thoughts, y'all. So I am about to transition over to my seat now that my cocktail is done. And we're gonna continue our conversation on episode 12 of the Real Housewives of Potomac. All right, so here is my finished Mocktail Mojito. Cheers, y'all. So the next scene that really got me fired up, y'all, was Ashley's PYT meetup that Giselle was invited to. Y'all, I was so agitated and annoyed by this conversation meetup. It just rubbed me the wrong way. And I know I mentioned it in my last recap where I feel like oftentimes and lately Ashley has been a little mini version of Giselle. And what I mean by that is Giselle, I think it's pretty obvious at this point, Giselle is really, I wouldn't say only on the show, but I feel like Giselle is really on the show to generate and cook up some drama. These last few seasons, we don't really get a whole lot of insight or details or we don't get a lot from her in regards to things that are going on in her life personally. Any narrative outside of just being a part of the group, it's really primarily been centered around her life and her relationship with her daughters, which is beautiful and I enjoy that. But that part of her storyline is very interesting. But outside of that, like, we don't get much from Giselle, from her personal storyline. When she first was on the show, we always used to talk about the men that she dated. Jamal, her ex-husband, would pop in and out. But lately, these past couple of seasons, it's really been like Giselle is purely on the show to just stir up drama. We don't get anything from her. And I feel like Ashley is becoming a mini Giselle because I just feel like she will stir up and agitate drama that is not, I won't say not necessary, but it's just like you could tell this is you trying to start drama. It's not something that is coming organically. And I shared with you all the last video I did, my frustration with this Chris narrative is like, I just feel like they are really trying to sniff out and dig up any little piece of drama that is going to add to an interesting storyline. And this one, it seems so forced. It seems so unnatural. It seems like they are grasping for straws at this meetup. And now you've got the three main people who are accusing Chris of making them feel uncomfortable there. And Ashley's friend is telling her thoughts and her feelings on how Chris, Candace's husband, made her feel uncomfortable. And she just is going on about how he was standing next to her at the bar and was like nudging her or all up close on her. And then, you know, when they did talk, he shared his name as Chris and she was like, well, my husband's name is Chris. She insinuated that after she told him that her husband's name was Chris, that he was being a little flirty. And I am so thankful that Bravo is really holding these women accountable, especially with this Chris narrative, and doing flashbacks to the situations that these women are referring to. Because again, as I stated in my previous video, these women with this Chris narrative, they're making it seem like he is like being inappropriate. And when you go back and watch the video, you can tell that it's really not it's not what they are making it to be. You know, yes, Chris was standing next to this woman at the bar, but there were several feet between her and Chris. Most of the time, Chris was not paying that girl no mind. He was on his phone. He didn't look like he wanted to be there. Chris was not pooting at that girl. And again, I'm not gonna keep going down this rant, but it's just so obvious that Ashley and Giselle are trying to create and generate some type of drama off of this Chris narrative. And I'm so happy that Bravo is like pretty much showing them and exposing them for the opportunists and liars that they are. I don't know if they're trying to just be like, look, we're going to be fair to both parties, or if Bravo may feel like these accusations and the language that Ashley, Giselle, and Ashley's friend are using is dangerous. In order to not fan this flame and potentially get this man, Chris, and Candace, because that's her husband, in any type of trouble, we want to share everything, every piece of footage that we have to make sure we clear up the situation. I don't know, again, I'm not a Bravo insider, that's just how I think. And then Ashley's friend had the nerve to say not only was Chris, Candace's husband, being flirty with her, but also saying that Eddie came over as well and was kind of smiling and being flirty with her as well. I was like, this woman, I cannot with these women, I cannot. And so as the woman, she's sharing more details and, you know, of the Chris and Eddie thing. Of course, Ashley's like, I don't know if I should tell her. I don't know if I should tell Wendy. Ashley's like, I don't know if Chris and Candace are going through things because they're trying to get pregnant. And I know I went through a similar situation with Michael when we were trying to get pregnant. And I thought to myself, I was like, girl, if I'm not mistaken, Michael was cheating on you before you got pregnant. Like, that was a huge thing. Like, that, I think that's before she got pregnant. That's when that Juan and Michael, you know, making advances, that Juan came out, and reunion after that, that's when you got pregnant. So it's just like, this whole Michael Darby being fresh out here in these streets, like, that was going on most of the seasons, if not all of the seasons, maybe with the exception of season 1 throughout y'all marriage. I also thought it was very interesting because Ashley had made a comment like, you know, if it was me and I was trying to get pregnant and my husband was out here being flirtatious and inappropriate, I would want somebody to tell me. It was something along those lines, y'all. I can't remember the exact wording, but it basically, she was trying to make it seem like if she was in Candace's shoes and her husband were trying to start a family, but during that time, her husband was being inappropriate and being flirtatious towards women while they were trying to start a family, she would want somebody to tell her. And I thought that was very telling because, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all, Michael was being inappropriate and fresh and really cheating on Ashley prior to Ashley getting pregnant. And then throughout her pregnancies, Michael was just being fresh and being inappropriate. And people came and told her, hey, your husband is saying he wants to do things with Juan. Your husband is in a hotel room with another woman. Your husband's at a casino with another woman. And anytime someone brought this information to her, she was like, no, you know, Michael didn't say that. Michael was joking. You know, Michael was hanging out with this woman and he got super drunk and they ended up in a hotel room and, you know, she took a picture of him, but he didn't have sex with her. He didn't have, like, anytime Michael was doing things, people brought it back to Ashley and she denied it. She feels like Candace is in denial and not wanting to listen to anyone. But when she was going through the same thing with Michael Darby, she didn't want to listen to anyone either. I just find it crazy that she has completely forgotten how she carried herself when Michael was out in these streets doing whatever with whomever. And the crazy thing is, Michael was actually doing that stuff. Like, there were pictures and footage of Michael out here in these streets with other women. All we have when it comes to Chris is just y'all women being messy on this show. So I just find it crazy, but that is the Ashley, her friend Giselle situation. That was the first thing that was the main thing throughout the entire episode that got me hot and heated. And of course, it continued on towards the end of the episode, which I'll get to later. You've got a scene with Wendy where she is still recovering from her surgery. I would say Wendy looked so beautiful. Her makeup looked good. Her hair looked good. For someone who just got finished going through surgery, she looked good. I don't know how these women do it. Because I'm like, after surgery, I'm looking a hot mess. Like, look, y'all just gonna have to accept that's what it is. But Wendy and Ashley met up, and that's when Ashley shared that her friend had accused Eddie of being flirty, which again, we all saw from the clips that that was not the case. And Wendy told her husband, and her husband was just like, okay, I guess I can't smile at nobody. I guess I can't smile at nobody. I wouldn't even be surprised if Eddie and Chris didn't want to be at that spring fling taco party in general. Like, it would not surprise me if they didn't want to be there at all. But they are cast members of the show. Their wives are on the show. So there's that sense of like, okay, we're obligated just as a job to be there. And our wives are going to be there. But I don't know. I think of it from a perspective of my husband. If I told my husband, like, yeah, one of my friends are having a spring fling taco party, I know him. He would not go. He'd be like, I do not want to go. If this is going to be a bunch of women and y'all going to be kikiing and stuff, I'm like, no, I don't want to go. So I wouldn't even be surprised if Eddie and Chris didn't even really want to be there. And it was obvious in all of the clips that Chris didn't really want to be there. Chris was on his phone trying to find a corner to get into. Chris was not worried about any of these women. And so I love the fact that Eddie brushed it off as like, okay, whatever. Like, I guess next time we go to a little shindig, I won't smile at nobody. I'll just mind my business. So next scene was a meetup with Robin, Giselle, and Mia. And I'm not gonna lie, the first part of this scene was a little awkward. Like, I didn't really enjoy hearing about Mia's son going through his teenage male stage. Didn't want to hear that. And I'm kind of overhearing Mia, her past dreams of being an OBGYN and experimenting on her friend, but they got into that. And the most telling thing about this meetup for me was Karen had shared with the rest of the women in the group what Mia had shared to her. And something that was really telling was that Mia had disclosed a little bit more information and details of her connection and history with Peter. So apparently Peter, Gordon, Mia, and Peter's girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, I don't know, all had a little orgy, for lack of a better term. But they had all kind of played around with each other, and I thought that was so weird. It was just like, what? And then not only that, but Mia was saying that Peter's girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, whoever this woman is to Peter, had not only played with her husband Gordon or messed around with her husband Gordon, but that they had did some foreplay the night before the wedding, either the night before or the night of their wedding. Like, they are doing these things. I thought that was very and then that this girl was like a bridesmaid in her wedding party, and that she sung while it was wild to me. Again, different strokes for different folks. Like, that's your way of getting off. That is your business. I am not knocking you, but on your wedding night, like, come on now. I guess it's memorable though. Like, I guess that made the night memorable. I thought that was super telling and wild. And something else, like, Mia, I feel like she's growing on me a little bit, which is wild because she came from my girl Wendy, and I love Wendy. But aside from the Wendy drama, I feel like Mia's personality is growing on me, and I'm not really a fan. I will say I'm not a fan of her, like, just out here throwing all of her business out. It gives me vibes and energies of, like, I feel like Mia wants to kind of be adopted and really click with these women so much that she's willing to tell any and everything about herself just to get them to like her. That's the vibes and energy it gives me. Comment below if y'all feel the same way or if you have similar thoughts. Like, I don't know, like, it just comes off as like that person who is new to a group of friends or new to an environment, and they are trying to do any and everything to be accepted. And sometimes in an effort to try to be accepted and welcomed into a group, they are just disclosing so much about themselves. And in the moment, it seems like, oh, they like me, we're kikiing, we're having we're having fun together. But later on, the same people that you are telling your business to, they are going to use that against you. And I lie to you not, y'all. Either this season, I feel like the ladies, particularly Robin and Giselle, are going to turn on Mia, or I wouldn't be surprised if next season, that's if Mia is a part of next season, because I know I saw something on social media about her possibly not coming back. Who knows? But I wouldn't be surprised if next season, if she is a part of the show, Giselle and Robin turn on her. That's the vibes that I get. Giselle, Robin, and Ashley. Like, she's just giving up too much information, and those three women, especially Giselle and Ashley, will take in that information and hold on to it when they feel like, you know what, we need a good storyline and narrative. So the last scene of the episode is Karen's event. Karen is funny, y'all. I love Karen. The La Dames. That's her followers, the La Dames. Nicki Minaj has the Barbs, Beyonce has the Beehive, and Karen has the La Dames. So cute. She was funny. And so as we see the episode progress, and now we're at the actual event, and that joint was packed. Like, it was packed like rats up in there. She had a lot of people at that freaking event. But if I noticed, and I paid attention to like the camera surveying some of the people that are not a part of the cast that were at the event. Some of them, again, different strokes for different folks. Doesn't mean that you have to be a certain type of person to love and support Karen. But some of these folks they didn't look like they would be a La Dame. They look like folks that came there to see some comedy. And I'm convinced, after watching the event in the episode, I'm convinced that Karen probably went to the DC Improv and pitched them the idea of her hosting the comedy set for that night. And the DC Improv probably sold the tickets to the public as like, oh, these comedic acts are going to be here and it's going to be hosted by, Karen Huger. But I do not believe that this event was sold as a Karen Huger, special, because I don't believe it. And especially since Giselle and Robin, I don't listen to their podcast, but I'm almost certain they have a very successful and very big podcast. Robin and Giselle's event looked a little bit more sparse and empty compared to Karen's. The layout was different of the facility. The capacity level could have been different. We didn't get the final breakdown of how many people were at each event, but I find it hard to believe that Karen, who is not a comedian, who, as far as I'm concerned, y'all please comment below and let me know if y'all know something different. Like, she doesn't have a podcast, she, has her spinoff, but she's not doing shows like that. She has her social media, but she sells products and things of that sort, but she's not doing a regular podcast like Giselle and Robin. And I find it really hard to believe that she was able to pack this place out just by being the grand dame. So all of the ladies show up to Karen's event. Ashley has bought her friend who has accused Chris of being flirty with her. Now, before I elaborate on that, I will say that there was a conversation amongst the women about how Charisse was not invited and she did not come, and she kind of felt some type of way that Karen did not invite her personally. Again, y'all, as I stated in my other episode, I think that Charisse is milking this storyline. I personally lean more towards with Karen and her. I feel like Charisse is kind of trying to agitate this to kind of create a lane in a storyline for her. And again, it just, for me personally, it just seems like, okay, we're doing the most. Like, if I hadn't spoken to you in a while and we fell out, I'm not gonna invite you to something. If I was Karen, I'm not gonna personally invite you because you're not someone that I personally want to be there for me. But if Robin wanted to bring you as a plus one, then I'm not gonna make a big fuss about it. Like, I highly doubt Karen had security outside of the event, like, don't let Charisse in, don't let, like, I don't think Karen was that pressed. It's like, we don't kick it like that, so I'm not gonna personally invite you, but if someone brings you, then you can come. And I thought Charisse was being a little bit extra. Again, we all know, if you've been watching this show from season 1, there is a subtle bumping of the heads on who is the Grand Dame of Potomac. Karen has claimed it as her title, but a lot of the women, and probably Charisse herself, feel like she's the real OG and Grand Dame of Potomac. I just feel like Charisse was doing the most. It's like, girl, y'all don't hang out like that. Why do I personally invite you? But it's neither here nor there. So the event happens. Ashley brings her friend, and I just thought, oh, it's another moment, y'all, where my blood got to boiling. So Candace comes with her mom. They're all at the table watching the show. And then Robin brings it to Candace's attention that Ashley's friend, who accused Chris of being flirty with her, is at the table. And in true Candace fashion, she came quick with the name call. It was like the Sesame Street character. Candace kind of does a okay and keeps it moving. Like, I'm not pooting at that girl. I'm not worried about her. Like, ain't nobody studying her. And towards the end of the show, here you have Ashley approaching Candace. Oh, I just wanted to let you know my friend is here. Again, trying to have a moment. And I'm so happy. Y'all, I'm getting frustrated at this point just thinking about it. I'm so happy Candace did not even entertain it. It frustrated me so much. One, Ashley coming over, trying to start something, and then the friend was just like, I'm her friend, and I just wanted to let you know. And Candace was like, I don't want to talk to you. I do not want to talk to you. I thought the friend was even uberly pressed. Like, even as Candace was walking out of the event, the friend was like, oh, do you want to talk to me? Do you want to? And Candace was like, no, I don't. No, I don't. And I don't blame her. It's just kind of like the Giselle situation was one. Then you got the Ashley thing, but now you got this friend who's coming out of nowhere. Like, we don't know this woman. I don't blame Candace. Like, you know what? I'm not going to continue to feed into this narrative, and I'm not going to give any of these women, but especially this woman that just came out here from the street, my time and attention. I was happy how Candace carried herself. To me, it was just another situation and incident where Ashley was being an opportunist for a storyline. I will say this, sometimes these friends of the show are doing too much and they are not needed. I started realizing this on season 13 of Real Housewives of Atlanta. They didn't have Nene, and it was the first season post-COVID, and that was, to me, the worst season of Real Housewives of Atlanta ever. But they had a lot of friends of the show, and I felt like those friends of the show were almost trying to audition to be a main cast member on the show, and they were doing the most. And on that season of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, they had a lot of friends of the show that were just instigating drama, starting crap with all of the main cast members on the show, particularly that one Trinidadian woman. She was, like, for me, constantly instigating stuff. And I just I get very reluctant and leery when we have friends of the show starting a whole bunch of beef and drama. Like, sometimes after season 13 of Real Housewives of Atlanta, I'm very skeptical of friends of the show, because sometimes they can come on the show and they are a good blend. They are a breath of fresh air. They add to the drama and the conflict, and it doesn't seem like orchestrated, and I enjoyed that. But then there are some friends of the show that it is obvious to me that they are trying to create a reoccurring spot for them on the show, whether that be a main housewife or whether they want to be a Marla, where it's like every season I'm gonna come back. While the Charisse Karen drama, I do think Charisse is milking this cow. And I think it's just like, it's not that deep. I do enjoy Charisse being a friend of the show. But I think I also enjoy her being a friend of the show because she was an original OG housewife, and I know that there were things that transpired from the last time she was on the show full time to now that I would be interested in seeing her back on the show full time. I'm like an advocate of that. I want to hear about her daughter and her kids, how they're doing, and how has she adjusted since getting divorced from her ex-husband. I'd love to see episodes on her dating life. Like, I would love Charisse to come back on the show. Jacqueline and Mia, and Jacqueline being a friend of the show, I'm okay with this friend of the show because it's obvious that Mia and Jacqueline have been friends for years. It makes it more authentic to me that they are actually friends. I'm pretty sure that prior to this season, Jacqueline's probably been around Mia while she's filmed this show. And so it just seems like a natural flow into her being a friend of the show. And the drama and the interesting points, although it's weird, the closeness of their relationship, again, it makes it more entertaining for us. But Ashley and her friend, to me, this is a friend of the show that I don't need. So that concludes my episode 12 recap of the Real Housewives of Potomac season 7. Y'all comment below your thoughts. What did you take from the episode, y'all? What did you like? Are you just as annoyed with the Ashley's friend coming in and stirring up drama? And did you all get a different perspective of Karen's show, y'all? Let me know y'all thoughts below in the comment box. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it. Liking this video helps me to grow as a channel, y'all. And I will see you all for the next episode, episode 13. I'm super excited. They're going to Mexico. I love when they do the girls trips on the Real Housewives. That's my favorite. I sit there and I envision I'm with them, kikiing, partying and stuff like that. And of course, they're going to Mexico. So I'm going to be doing a margarita next week. So make sure you subscribe because you're not gonna wanna miss it. And I will see you all then. Peace.